Old Dairy, copper top, premium bitter.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. This is probably going to be a little bit self-indulgent for me because this is a local brewery. They're based just up the road in a place called Tenterden, which is obviously in Kent. And this is their Copper Top Premium Bitter. Now this is the one I found the other night, Saturday, when I was out and about. I went out for an Indian, and if you've looked at the Snow Top video from the Old Dairy Brewery, you'll know how I found it. But if you haven't, I'll just tell you quickly. Went out for an Indian with the missus and a mate of hers, boss and her fella. And as we parked up, just where we parked, there was like a wine. Well, it looked like a wine shop to me. The fucking disgust I felt just looking at a shop full of wine. I won't go into it here because there may be kids watching, but it was fucking horrible. But then I thought, I had a little bit of a old grey matter. The mouse on the wheel started running round in my head, and I thought, well, if they sell wine, surely they must sell beer. Because it ain't only women that go into wine shops, is it? Blokes must go in there. And of course, blokes drink beer, don't they?
And tip 4, men don't order wine, alright?
What do you mean they don't? Fuck off. But you don't get wine shops in the People's Republic of Yorkshire. They all drink fucking bitter up there because they're fucking bitter.
If I wanted cheeky monkey, I'd have gone to cheeky monkeys are us.
Anyway, I walked in there and they had a load of local beers. And they had some really good ones from breweries who I thought didn't even do bottled beer. Now I've tried a lot of their stuff on cask, this Old Dairy lot. And it's brilliant. On cask, it is out of this world. But when I saw this in bottles, it was like I went a little bit weak at the knees and had an accident in my underpants. But I bought quite a few of theirs, and I've just reviewed the Snow Top Old Ale that they do. That has just won a Camera Gold Award this year for the South East in the Old Ale category, and this has just won a Camera Gold Award as well in the bitter category for the South East. So this is going to be a good one, and this is a really good brewery as well. And it was my birthday not so long ago, and the missus bought me a brewery tour at the Old Dairy. I'll see if I can get some film going on down there. Probably a lot of breweries don't allow that, but I'll see if I can, and you may see what's going on down there. But they're really good. I've tried the stuff on cask. Regardless of what this tastes like, I know for a fact the stuff on cask is really good. And they do loads of traditional British beers. They use local Kentish malt, Kentish hops as well, which in my opinion, it's not my opinion, it's just me being a twat. I think Kent has got a long history, a long tradition of growing what I think are some of the best world-renowned hops. Believe it or not, a lot of the hops get exported to Belgium, and a lot of Kentish hops are used in Belgian doubles and triples. And even I was surprised to see that, Belgium has got, its own hop growing regions, which I think is around the Ypres area, but they use Kentish hops in there, and it's only a short hop over to Belgium anyway, so no pun intended. Do you know, it's funny, I used to know a one-legged girl who worked in a brewery. She was in charge of the hops. Right, I'll stop there. Let's investigate this beer. .1%, 500ml. This is a bitter, a premium bitter no less. I may even have had this. It's it's been so long since I've had a proper beer in a proper pub that's selling the Old Dairy stuff. you know, my mind's gone completely blank. But let's see what it says on the back. It says our rich dark premium bitter has a delicious toffee caramel body with chocolate undertones from the Marisotta crystal and chocolate malts. What a combination that is. Marisotta, arguably the best British malt you can use in beers, British beers certainly. Crystal malts, nice sweet, full-bodied flavour and texture to that, and then chocolate malts, which just makes beer moreish. Balanced with a spicy and fruity bite from the Bramling Cross and Challenger hops. This is truly an ale to savour. Perfect with steak or your favourite roast. The Bramling Cross and the Challenger hops that they're talking about, I think they're grown up the road in the Kent Life farm. Original hop farm that goes back hundreds of years. They still string the hops on the bines using stilts. Now normally modern hop growers or modern farmers, they use like cherry pickers and stuff like that, all modern equipment, but they still use stilts to hang the hops on the vine, and that's really is good. You know, it's a traditional thing, and I love it. You know, if you ever get the chance to go to Kent, visit the Kent Life farm. It's really good. I know because of COVID you're probably not allowed to do a lot of the stuff you could normally do, but there's oast houses there that they still use. They still dry the hops in oast houses, which I think is just brilliant. And of course the oast houses are unique to certain areas of the Midlands and Kent only. That's the only places you'll find them. Working oast houses as well are even more rarer. So, you know, if you want to see them in action, I'd say and you're into brewing, get yourself down there. But yeah, that's your Old Dairy Copper Top. Sounds really promising. Let's get it open and see if it is. Right, I wonder if this is going to fizz up. It might do because it was on its side. I don't want to spill a drop of this, because if it's as good as it sounds, this will be an absolute killer beer. There you go, plain black cap. Speaking of black caps, that was my mate's Julian's favourite pub in Camden Town. Look it up, the old Black Cap. He used to love going in there, he did. Strange boy. Well, a bit lively. What are we getting on the nose? Wow. Herbal hops is the first thing. That's unusual. I thought that the aroma would be stronger, but it's not. That's a disappointment. I thought it would just be brimming with malty sweetness and hop spicy and earthy aromas. I'm not getting any of that at all. Oh, for fuck's sake, I've given this such a big build up. I'm really struggling to get any aroma out of this at all. Oh well. There was a little touch of herbal notes to it, and that was it. I wonder whether it's something to do with the head that I've put on it. I mean, that's a pretty big head, isn't it? That's a 2-finger foamy white head. Quite lively carbonation as well, looking at it. It's a murky golden colour. Murky amber colour. Okay. Right. Bit of trepidation here, but let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. God. Whoa, that is a strong flavoured beer. Let me try some more of this. I'm not sure about this. the carbonation is really, really big in this, and it's quite abrasive in the mouth. Now that is not saying that I would associate with a Camera Gold award-winning premium bitter. Here it is in the glass. Now, as you can see, the head, I thought it was me that had given it a little bit of an aggressive pour. There is a lot of sediment and yeast in that beer, and that is just getting thrown around. I don't know whether you're going to see it with this. Let me see if I can get a close up on that one. Can you see the floaters? I can definitely see them, and they're getting tossed about like a fucking ship on the high seas with all that carbonation, which I suppose is a good thing really, because it will get the flavour of that yeast all around the beer. Let me dive in once more. That's a little bit better now. Wow, the hop character in this is really big. And this is quite complex. That initial burst of carbonation in the mouth, I think that just stifled a lot of the flavour. Now I know carbonation does push flavours around in the mouth. If you get the balance wrong, it just dominates, and it just, in my opinion, from my experience as well, it just kills any real flavour, and it can be a hindrance sometimes. Now don't get me wrong, there are some Belgian beers that are really highly carbonated, but the balance you get in them, I mean, they look super aggressive in the glass, but on the mouth, 9 times out of 10, that is quite agreeable, that carbonation. It's the fine balance that just pushes the really strong flavours of Belgian doubles and triples and brown ales around. But on this one, the carbonation, the initial mouthful, the carbonation was just too aggressive. I think it's calming down a little bit now. It's odd. Most of the flavour is in the finish, and that is big, earthy, floral hops, and a little spicy bitterness on the back. The caramel and chocolate is there. I'm getting more chocolate on the finish. The caramel, I think, is a little bit subdued on that. Certainly don't get it in the initial mouthful. It's more toffee in the mouth than caramel, and there's a bitter spicy finish, and as I say, some floral notes, some bitter earth as well, and then when that all goes down, you're left with quite a bitter cross between toffee and spice, which, you know, it's sort of making it taste like chocolate, but it's not, if you know what I mean. It's not too bad. I think there's a couple of downsides on this. The carbonation is still going for it. Wow, let me turn that around. You may be able to see some of the yeast. Can you see the yeast? Yeah, look, there's sediment there, but you can just see that carbonation, and that really does translate into the mouthfeel. And I think that is a real shame, because I think it's killing some of the flavour for me. It's just too aggressive in the mouth, and it has calmed down a bit, so you can imagine that first mouthful was really aggressive. I think as it warms up, it's starting to calm down a bit, but it's still there. That's a real shame. And of course, you don't get that on cask at all. On cask, it's super smooth. All the beers are. You know, you just don't get carbonation in that at all. Or if there is, it's absolutely minimal. But it's not bad. This has the potential to be a great beer. I just think they've overdone it on the carbonation a little bit. There's very nice British hop character to this, or English hop, if you like. And the malts, what they're saying there, is it caramel? Yeah, caramel body with chocolate undertones. I'd say it's more toffee. That's what I'm getting. I don't know whether that's the caramel mixing with the chocolate, producing toffee. I don't know. I must admit, it's difficult for me to pick up the caramel in this. It tastes more like toffee and chocolate, but you know, that's just a matter of opinion. Yeah, so it's just one. I had really high hopes for this after tasting the Snow Top. That was amazing. Really was a seasonal beer. But old ale, you know, old ale is just bursting with flavour. With your premium bitters and your best bitters, they can be hit or miss. So what's the verdict on Old Dairy Copper Top? I had really high hopes for this. I'm sure I've had it before on cask. It's just I've had quite a few of their beers, and it's not registered with me. It's good. It has the potential to be good, but it's just there's too much carbonation in it for my liking. For a bitter that really is aggressive carbonation, and it's almost like what it reminds me of. Remember the old space dust you used to get when you was a kid, where your mouth was popping, and it's not as extreme as that, but it's got that real aggressiveness on the tongue, which I think it's inhibiting some of the flavours. That's a real shame. That is a real fucking shame, because it does taste nice once you can get past that. The finish is really nice, but you know, for me, the whole drinking experience, it should be nice flavours on the palate, nice flavours on the finish. For me, that's what gets you 10 out of 10 or thereabouts. This it's just all over the place on the palate. The finish is nice, don't get me wrong. It is a nice finish, and I'm going to finish this. This isn't definitely not going down the fucking sink, I'll tell you that now. But it's just slightly disappointing on the palate, which is a real shame, and in complete contrast to the Snow Top, which in my mind was a real stand-up old ale. Really good. It's still there. This could be just personal taste now. It could just be me, but I really don't like these full-on, aggressively carbonated beers. Erdinger is immediately the sort of reference point. That's just so overcarbonated. Really is bad beer, in my opinion, and considering it comes from Bavaria as well. But this stuff, I don't know. That's a real shame, because the Snow Top was nothing like this at all. That was really nice. I'm going to give this. I can see its potential. It's just ruined by that carbonation, and that might sound harsh, because it really does taste nice. The finish is really good, but I want, in the words of Freddie Mercury, I want it all. I want nice flavours on the palate, and I want a nice finish as well. The finish is good on the palate. As I say, it's just fucking all over the place. Yeah, so still recommend it. It could be just a rogue batch that's a bit too aggressively carbonated, but it is nice on the finish. So, and you know, if you ever come down to Kent, or you go to any of the pubs, the old dairy pubs that they supply, that do the old dairy stuff, It is absolutely gorgeous on draft. I've tried a few of these. They do a stout, or is it a porter? It's either a porter or a stout. And I remember I spent a whole night drinking that. It was so good. It was really good. And I'm going to have to try and get some of that. They didn't have it in that shop, unfortunately. I'm going to recommend it just because I think that could potentially be a rogue batch. And I know how good their cask beer is. This, I'm going to drink it because it is a good beer and it's got a nice finish to it. It's just a little bit too aggressively carbonated for me. And remember, beer is working class champagne.